So we got to talk about this. I know many of you have seen the screenshots that were released of the scan that came out a couple of weeks ago, but it's been about a year since we've had a DLC for Kakarot, and the last one was the End of Z, Goku's Next Journey, which was pretty decent. It had a lot of fillers in it because it was a short DLC, and to my surprise, we get this DLC, but we only get part 1, which goes from episode 1 all the way down to episode 8. And just to do a quick recap, now, episode 1 is just a recap of the Z series when they're turning the kids. It's a pilot episode, an introduction to Daima, nothing really special. Now, episode 2 is where they realize they can't fly because of their small bodies, and Goku goes on a hunt for the power pole to kind of balance out his imbalance of being turned to a child. And this is also at the end where Glorio arrives at the lookout. So, in episode 3, Goku Supreme Kai and Glorio arrives in the third world, I think third demon world, and Goku asks like why they can't fly, and Glorio responds it's because of the fog. It suppresses flight, makes you slower, and at the end of the episode we have the bar fight with Goku, of course, wanting to eat and being interrupted. So now in episode 4, this is where Goku buys those rejuvenating bugs at the store. They fly on that broken spaceship, which basically flings them across the planet. Goku fights the army of henchmen, and this is the first time they meet Pansy, I believe is her name. And this is where they also are ambushed by a giant. Now in episode 5, Pansy joins the team. You arrive at Pansy's father's house, I think it's Kadan's castle, where you find out that she's a princess. Now Goku has he doesn't have to, but he chooses to prove himself by taking on Kadan's army. And on episode 6, they crash land and are forced to like camp into this cave where they meet like this beast or this Mutaro type of creature. And at the end of it, instead of fighting the creature, Goku ends up fighting Glorio and going Super Saiyan for the first time. I thought that was dope. So in episode 7, it's mainly about Pansy, Collar, and them tracking her somehow through it. And Vegeta and the others are on their way to the demon world. And this is where Goku, Glorio, and Supreme Kai, along with Pansy, because she's part of the team now, reach the third Tamagami for Goku to face off. Now in episode 8, Goku finishes the battle, which is actually a pretty decent battle in my honest opinion, where he gets the first Dragon Ball, and this is where the enemies begin to create Majin Ku, I think is his name. I know it's a Majin Du and Majin Ku, a fat and the skinny one. I think that's Ku though. And that basically wraps it up. So I say all that to say this. I don't think that the DLC is going to be bad, but don't get me wrong, I don't have high expectations for it, because one thing we know about Kakarot DLCs or DLCs in general coming down to Dragon Ball games recently is that they aren't really about much. You might get one surprising one, and I think this one might be it. And there's 2 primary reasons of why I believe that. The first reason why I believe that this DLC is actually going to be pretty good is because it's been almost a year without a DLC. So my thoughts is they put enough time into this DLC to at least make it worthwhile. And the second thing is, if you remember the Bardock DLC, which I think is an underrated DLC, because in this DLC, we got a completely new planet to explore. If you looked at one of my videos from the past that's on my channel, that's called Things That We've Missed from Bardock DLC, they put quite a bit of detail into the Bardock DLC as far as exploration, going around searching for things, and giving you kind of a different experience rather than revamped or similar maps and areas that we've already been able to explore that was in the base game. Now I know from the scans we don't really get much. We just get Goku and the others, I guess, jumping out of a plane or something, just floating through the sky. Another one where he's kind of just enjoying the atmosphere of the new planet, and then one where I believe he's going to Pansy's dad's castle, I think it's Kaden or Kadan's castle, and one where they're sitting around a campfire, which is probably when they were in the cave. So it's not really much they're giving us here, so we don't really have much to go off of until we get our next scan or our next trailer. But I think that this DLC is going to be enjoyable because it's going to be a completely different series, different atmosphere, and I also think they're going to have ground battles and flying battles in here just like they had in DLC 6. Because if you remember, a lot of the battles that went on with Goku versus these army dudes, and even Glorio for that matter, they were ground battles. It wasn't until he got to the Tamagami where he actually took flight to have his first battle. So I think that'll be interesting to see. Now, given the fact that many people really enjoy the series, I think this would be a very strong benefit for them to expand upon the exploration part of Daima when it comes down to this DLC. Because if people are enjoying the series and you give us that freedom to go out and explore, which is what Kakarot is known for, right? And you add different things into the environment, like, oh, we seen this in the show, we seen this in the show, we know what this is. Like in the trailer, we actually have one of those air dragons, I forget the name of it, that flies around that they had to do, you know, slight combat with, that's in there. We see that seal that separates the first, second, and third demon world from each other are also, you know, in there. So there's much that can be, you know, done and added to this DLC to definitely make it worthwhile. Now, a couple of concerns that I have is that they're not going to release the DLC while the show is still airing, or close enough to while people still have, you know, high feelings and positivity towards the show to be able to play the DLC for remembrance, right? So as of now, we're still waiting on DLC 1, but we're more excited about DLC Part 2. And the reason being is because it contains Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and just better battles overall. Don't let that die down and then release the series and nobody really cares about it. That kills a lot of fun and spunk in which this DLC has the potential to have. So I guess that'll do it for me. Down in the comment section below, let me know what you guys think about this. You think it's going to be another trash DLC? You think it's going to be a decent DLC, lots of fillers, or whatever it may be? Do you even still care about the DLC? Many people haven't played Kakarot in a while because it's been a year since we've had new content, and I completely get that. So with that being said, it's your boy, oh no, not another reviewer, and I'm out.